All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm joined with Dick Allgaier, former newscaster and currently a remote viewer, one of the best from what I've heard. 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶 talks very highly of you. So, Dick, wow, what a past week we've had.
What a week. It's been just amazing, and it just keeps going, and it's going to keep going. We're going to see some amazing things. First of all, let me give a tip of the hat to the great 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶, because he's the one that said mid-July we would have a tremendous release event, and he was right.
Wow.
We did some remote viewing on that and got some of the data, but I credit 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶 and his WebBot predictions. So
𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶's
much
WebBot,
respect to Cliff.
Yeah, that's huge. So his WebBot predicted the release, which means, but I mean, who would have ever? I mean, I've always been to rallies, right? I've gone to like 3 of them, maybe 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one rally that I was in Texas. I think it was at Corpus Christi, and I was sitting like maybe 3 rows in front. And I kept thinking to myself, man, this is dangerous. I don't feel safe. How does this guy feel safe? I know he has Secret Service, but I'm like, can he trust him? Well, I've always been told he's well insulated. I was looking around the whole arena. And I was thinking to myself, just one person. I don't feel like I was. I get frisked more going on an airline at the airport than I did going to a Trump rally.
Oh, okay, a Trump rally, but I've covered presidential events as a reporter. I was a reporter for 30 years, and I had White House credentials issued to me when I came to Hawaii. I covered Reagan. I covered George Bush Sr. I was in a room with George Bush Sr. And all these events, George Bush came to Punch Bowl, the cemetery up at National Cemetery of the Pacific. For him to speak at 7:30 in the morning, we had to be there at, I think, 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. They have layers of security to get near a president, where the Secret Service puts dogs over all your equipment. They put you through metal detectors, x-rays. They have overhead, they have helicopters flying overhead, drones, snipers. I was coming into Honolulu Hickam Air Force Base, and we went through all the screening, and our truck was within eyesight, like right out there in the parking lot. And we'd forgotten a cable or a connector or something. And we said to the Secret Service, we need to just go right over there and pick that up. And they said, you go out, you got to come in, go through all the whole screening. There's no way that the Secret Service would let someone on a rooftop that close. Something's really fishy there. Have you heard the audio recordings? There's a video going around with a PhD in acoustics and that kind of thing. You can hear boom, 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 bang, 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 bang. You can hear different calibers going off. I played it for my wife, and she goes, that's different. That's different guns. So,
so in other words, more than one.
Had to be.
So let me ask you this, Dick. What recently have you remote viewed? Did you remote view this event taking place? I know 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶 called it, but what did you see, and what is to come?
I'll give a tip of the hat to my colleague 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶, who is the coolest cat ever. 𝗬𝗵, N-Y-I-A-M, and we were tasked double blind in April. We were just given a target ID, which is a blind number like B2C9Z7Q4. We're not told anything about it. And 𝗬𝗵 drew, so this could be anything, anytime, anywhere. It could be the past, the present, the future. It could be on the moon. It could be on the Mars. We just did Mars. So what 𝗬𝗵 drew with this double blind tasking was a man speaking at an event. He's up at a podium. He has his fist in the air. And this is documented, and this was seen by thousands of our subscribers.
How long ago did she do this?
April. And he said, there is a sniper up higher to the to this side of the man speaking. And he said, I think this is an assassination, and and he drew the crowd, the exact layout. He said, this man is speaking. It's a moment of high adoration. He's done a good job. People love him. And there's somebody shooting at him. That was double blind. We didn't know who tasked it or what it was. And the tasking was top global events for the next 3 months. And 𝗫𝗓𝗍 drew that. In my work, we do monthly predictions. And 6 weeks ago, I said, there's going to be a big sniper story. I see a man with a gun laying on his belly shooting. I drew in another unrelated target, a man's face with blood on his face. And I said, this is like a lot of blood, like an assassination thing. And I said, I know I should know who this is. I don't recognize him because I just saw the outline of the face. I saw the blood. I didn't recognize the hair. So I didn't say Trump. What happens, Nino, is I've been remote viewing 27 years now. Our group drew 9/11 the night before it happened on September 10th. We drew things going into buildings and buildings smoking. But it was a totally unrelated target. It wasn't a future event. The target was just a validation target. It was Timothy Leary in a flotation tank or something. But everybody said, well, wait, there's this building. Here's the way it works. Consciousness is this dimension, this greater field. And it's like if you send a viewer to a target of less impact, like a validation target, it would be like, sit down and write an essay about what your family did for summer vacation. And you're writing, well, we went to the beach and we took the dog. We were having to pick. And as you're writing that, a plane slams into the street across from your house. Your full attention is going to go to that. And you're going to say, wow, a plane just crashed. And you will lose all interest in writing about your summer vacation. So remote viewers put their awareness out into consciousness. And big events like this have what we call a luminosity. So it's been popping up in all of our work. Daz Smith had it. I had it. All of us said, there's going to be something with a gunman in a shooting. Now, 𝗫𝗓𝗍 was specific to it being the top global event for the next 3 months. So yeah, it did come up in our work. What's ahead?
That's the big question. That was my next question. I'm like, what is ahead?
Okay, from a remote viewing standpoint,
yeah,
what we've seen is okay. And I need to caution that remote viewers are not foolproof. We're not omniscient. We're not gods. We're not Nostradamus. We get little glimpses that sometimes we don't understand. On a good day, we're pretty good. But you can't just say, oh, Dick Allgaier predict my future, go, ooh, and I'm the all-seeing great one.
Right.
It's more subtle than that. We were tasked another blind target. We're just given the L7Z1Q2B4, and unbeknownst to us, it was the Cliff High event that he was predicting, like the high impact event that Cliff High feels will happen in mid-July. And the data that we got wasn't so much the shooting, wasn't so much the attempted assassination. It was more a sky event, like a lot of people witnessing some big thing in the sky. And then there was a twist to it, in that my data and a couple of the other overlapping data was there's an electromagnetic field aspect to it, like it was generated or created or enhanced, or people's nervous system is affected by EMF that causes them to have a more profound reaction to it. So that didn't happen on the 15th of July, not to our knowledge.
But what about the other day? A couple days ago, the global outage.
Okay. Was it the outage? And the outage that's an electromagnetic event. So maybe that fits, but we're still thinking there's something more visual, more like
sky.
Yeah.
Aliens.
A created a like Project Bluebeam.
Something like that.
Could be. I'll just put that on the record. So, like as I say, we're not infallible and we're not omniscient, but and it's getting harder to remote view these type of things because it's so noisy, man. It's like they gave us a target to do that I still have to work a week and a half ago, and I was going to work it last Saturday. Like I had my day plan. I took my wife to get a new car, and then I'll come home, have some dinner, and then I'm going to work this target. And then my texts start buzzing off, and we saw the events of last Saturday. I couldn't remote view. How can you sit down and try to access consciousness when all that is?
Yeah, it's noisy, a lot of static.
It is really noisy.
There's so much going on right now.
Yeah. So I'm getting ready. I want to talk. I don't ever talk politics. I'm going to talk politics with you for just a couple of minutes as we wrap up here. I see so many, I have a lot of friends that they just post these insane memes that are anti-Trump,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
they just copy and paste this stuff. And so, some of them are my dear friends, but I have questions. I don't get into politics because I was a reporter, and I was a reporter when you didn't ever give your opinion. If I would have said anything close to what Rachel Maddow, Jake Tapper, Joy Reid, all these horrid people,
mouthpieces, yeah.
if I would have said anything close to that, I would have been immediately called in, and the news director and the general manager would have said, how dare you ruin the reputation of this entire news organization? Clean out your desk. You're fired right now. It would never have been allowed.
Boy, things changed.
Yeah, they have. Okay, so here are the questions I would have. Let's say Joe Biden drops out, which you heard what Alex Jones just said, that
I've heard this from Roger Stone. I've heard this from a few people. Because Newsom and Harris apparently cannot be on the same ticket if they're both in California. Something like that. But okay, let's go with it.
I did a remote viewing a year ago that said Biden would be out, and I said Newsom would replace him a year ago. So we'll see. That was just for the record. I could be wrong. Okay, Mike, if Biden does drop out, here's what I would ask Democrats. Why did Biden withdraw? Why was he taken off? Ask him that. Why? If they say, well,
they're going to say dementia, he's too old, he's elderly.
Well, okay, then I would ask them, when did you realize that? When did
they would have said, they'll say the debate.
Okay.
We realized it from the beginning, but they're going to say the debate.
But okay. So then you would ask them, didn't the White House say that the evidence of his dementia was a cheap fake? Didn't they say he was perfectly fine?
So is he going to
ever known? And so
you froze up a little bit, but so go ahead, continue. You froze up for a second.
Yeah, I mean, there's no logical, if you just ask them, like, when did you didn't know anything was wrong with him? The people that were telling you there was nothing wrong with him, were they telling you the truth?
So hold on, Dick. So I mean, they're in a very precarious situation right now. They need to make a move, and they need to make a move fast. I think they're just going to vote for whoever goes against Mr. T. I think whoever it is, they're going for, and
they're not that stupid. They're ruthless. They're cunning. They plan ahead. They've got a plan up their sleeve. I don't think they're in as much disarray as people think.
Even after what happened in the last week with Trump.
We'll see. Yeah, I'll be careful what I say here. I tend to not stray into politics. It's just in my being because of so many years in TV news where I couldn't express an opinion. Speaking of which,
leave that to me.
𝗬𝗂𝗏𝗏, Justice for Hawaiians. This is an old shirt. People, I grew up in the U.S. and didn't know the history of Hawaii, that the kingdom was stolen from the Hawaiians. And
I talked to my buddy BJ about that, the UFC fighter. He talks about that a lot. He gave me a little history lesson on it.
I need to talk with him. You're running out of time. You got to go do what you got to do.
Yeah. But you do see more events coming, a sky event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although it may not, because in consciousness, okay, I'll put this as quickly as I can. What is time? Time is consciousness observing. So time is consciousness observing, and whatever consciousness is observing something measures time in its own environment. So we're human beings, and we calculate time by a revolution around the sun. 1 year, 1 day, the revolution of the Earth. If you're on a different planet, different solar system, your whole concept of time would be different. Your subconscious awareness, the thing about you that gives you your remote viewing data, is outside of our calendar time. So to say there's an event that's going to happen on July 15th, there's
Right.
no July 15th in consciousness. So, and if it's a big event, it can be seen over the horizon. So you may be coming back, and we may see a alien invasion that is created out of Project Blue Beam holograms, and you'll be going, God, Dick Allgaier talked about that, and you go, wow, you told me that last July, but it happened 6 months later, and we'll go, yeah, that's because it was no time in consciousness, and so we've been doing remote viewing for so long that we see things pop up in our sessions that we discount, and then like a year later or 6 months or 2 months later, we'll go, hey, remember we said some of them. We'll go back to look through our session and go, yeah, we had that 6 months ago.
Wow.
So
That's incredible.
that's my caveat. It's always good catching up with you.
Well, do you
Know,
think that we can do more of these? I'd like to bring you on more often and talk to you about this because it, it's it,
anytime.
it's so interesting to me.
I
Dick,
need to talk to BJ Penn because I just live like we're right in the same.
oh,
And
I'll get you in touch with him.
yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to. Much
yeah,
respect for
yeah,
him.
yeah.
So
You love BJ, man. He's a great guy. Very
yeah.
humble guy, humble champion. Um, well, Dick, thank you so much for joining me. Where can people find you?
Oh, futureforecastinggroup.com. Futureforecastinggroup.com. I just had a Twitter, not a Twitter, TikTok video hit 1.2 million views yesterday. I never thought
Wow.
I'd be on TikTok, and I had one go viral. If we weren't in a polite environment, I'd tell you, I just went off. I just did another one where I have a message to Gen Z, and I just say, you guys were screwed, and it was my generation that screwed you, and here's how we did it. We did it with the banking system, and so yeah, it's
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's
I'll
amazing.
come on with you in a private setting. We'll do one. I'll just go
Let's
off.
do one. Let's do one for Nino's Corner.tv. You want to?
Sure.
Maybe I could bring you on as a general in the general's tent as well, where my audience gets to ask you
Oh,
questions.
that would be really fun. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right, you go take care of your family, and my best to your family,
thank you.
and prayers for you.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks,
Aloha.
Dick.
Bye bye.